Which one? Yeah. Where are we at?
I thought I had marked it, but I guess I didn't.
What? I mean, we really needed to get a good grasp
I know I had star at 7 and 8.
at 7.
I had star beside 7 and 8 where it talks about
Which
Yeah,
chapter?
yeah, that's
wisdom and the
that's where,
principles
yeah, right in that area.
Okay.
Which chapter?
4. Yeah, one of your favorite verses, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom.
Right.
And with all thy getting, get understanding.
Yeah.
The question was, what is those two things? Because you hear a lot of people speak about it, and they speak as if the two things are the same, but they're not.
No, we stopped at 314 because remember June had said she
314?
she wanted to hear about the merchandise.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, mm-hmm, yeah, cause, yeah, okay, she's right.
314.
Yeah, cause June did say that. But the verse before that had wisdom and understanding in it.
Right.
And we were digging around a good bit in that, and we can kind of go from there. Yeah, she talked about, June did say that the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. 3:14. But you need to have a good grasp of these two items, because both of them come from God, but one everybody can have, but in regards to wisdom, you can get that from God. Understanding is what you get from God too, but you may not get it in the same way that someone else gets it. The wisdom is the same, but the understanding could be different because of a different application. Let me go back to Exodus 31, where I was using that as an example. When you talk about understanding and wisdom, this is just Marvin talking, the major difference is that wisdom is knowing what to do. You have knowledge about that. But understanding is knowing how to do the what. As it fits, yes, and even why. That's we didn't say that, but that's another thing you can talk about. Why you're doing it, and yeah.
Go ahead, man.
And it was a powerful thing because you can have wisdom and know what to do, but how to do it in a particular situation. When you go to Exodus 31. In the first verse, it said, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, remember, they were bringing all this stuff to Moses to build the tabernacle and all of the things that were going to be put in it. And the Lord gave him a stern warning, told him to make sure that you do it according to the pattern that I showed you. Don't vary from it at all. So they said that Moses was going to do all this. And the Lord spake unto Moses in Exodus 31, saying, he said, see, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, and in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, to devise cunning works, work in gold and in silver and in brass and in cutting of stones, to set them in the carving of timber, to work in all manner of workmanship. And I, behold, I have given with him Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, and in the hearts of all that are wise-hearted I have put wisdom, listen to this, that they may make all that I have commanded thee. The tabernacle of the congregation and the ark of the testimony and all the furniture and everything that's in there. And not only that, but they were also to teach. So this man didn't start doing this when God did that. This man always been working in that stuff.
Right.
He always had wisdom and working in all of this stuff. But see, now there's a particular thing that needs to be done. That God needs to give him an understanding that is greater than what he has. You see what I'm saying? Because when God showed them the pattern, I mean, he may have been making something before and banging and hammering and then all of a sudden, oops. No. That's okay with what he's doing because he can go back, rebend it and all that. But what God wanted, there wasn't going to be no oops. Every hammer, every strike that he made on every cutting, every stone, all of it, it was to be done right the first time. So God had to fill him with understanding that was far above what he had. So that every time he struck that metal, it was like God striking it, not him. You see, and that's the difference between understanding. Understanding in regards to God is when he takes over and he leads and guides in every application of what you're doing. You can have human wisdom and human understanding. Like you, like myself with computers, military, whatever you're doing. But when God determines to do something and bring you into a level of understanding that he wants, is for the purpose of making sure that it's perfect.
Right.
That there ain't no oops. None of that. What you're used to, making corrections and all of that. You know, putting it back in there. No. Matter of fact, when you get to the end of it, he said, and everything was done according to the pattern that God showed on the mountain. And so when you look at wisdom and understanding, you have to even understand that there in your level of thinking, there's wisdom and knowledge and understanding that comes from God. But there's an even higher level of understanding that God invokes in you so that you get done what he wants done, the way he wants it done. And there ain't not, I think you said it best when you talk about being filled with the Spirit. We said something, where Pastor said it Friday, that it's no more you, it's all God.
Right.
This filling, this empowering,
Yeah.
whether it's speaking, whether it's talking, whether it's working, it don't matter.
Yeah.
God will let you go along for years like he did this man, doing what you learned. That now God will take what you learn, and Apostle Paul is no different, and exalt this thing to a level for God's purpose.
Right.
You see. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about this type of understanding. This is not human understanding.
So can we, I just want to ask this question, can I safely say in chapter 4 and verses 7 and 8 when it says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom in all you're getting, get understanding.
Yeah.
And then it says, exalt her and she will promote you.
Mm-hmm.
So is that kind of what you're saying, that,
Yes.
once it's,
Yeah.
when God does it,
Yeah. Exactly.
he gives the
Yeah.
increase, he gives the wisdom, he gives the
Exactly.
knowledge
Yeah.
to do it the right way.
Right. And that's why humility is so important, even coming in now with the why. Because you can get carried away with the why in your own thought
Right.
and exalt yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
that's
But
when
if you
you're walking on
recognize-
dangerous
But
ground.
if you recognize where the understanding comes from, you will never
Right.
go wrong.
Right.
You recognize that all wisdom
Yeah.
and all understanding actually
Yeah.
comes from
From
God.
God.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Even if you mess up,
Yeah.
it's all the wisdom and understanding
Right.
comes from God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing I was thinking about, now when Marvin took this to the level that I wasn't going, because it's a basis, it's a real simple base to wisdom and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But before you even get close to where you're going with
Yeah.
God, increasing it and making it clear to you.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about the small things that we use it that way, about wisdom, the difference between wisdom and understanding. And it's real simple. I mean, understanding is understanding the why. Wisdom is listening to what was said to you.
Mm-hmm.
You teaching your child not to cross the street.
Yeah.
You tell them don't cross the street.
Right.
child is there by themselves, and you don't go on somewhere now, they come to that same corner.
Right.
Because they've heard you say, don't go any further, they'll stop.
Right.
They may not understand why,
Right.
Right.
but they will stop.
Yeah.
They have wisdom.
They have the
So
wisdom
I
to
heard
stop.
the wisdom
Yeah.
not to go. That's all I got is wisdom now. I don't
Right.
know why.
Right.
But I do have the wisdom.
Right.
Exactly.
Right? Now you cross it anyway and get struck by a car, you get to understand.
Right.
So
Why?
why you should go was
Yeah.
you understand once
Yeah.
you got hit, you understand.
Exactly.
Oh, I shouldn't have
Exactly.
did that. I didn't follow the
Well,
wisdom
that
was given to me.
yeah, but that's not necessarily true, because you can find somebody that'll go right back and go across again the same way and get hit again.
Well,
You-
I'm still,
you see what I'm saying?
I'm not talking about learning from your mistake. I'm just talking about the simple definition.
Yeah.
I can give you
Yeah.
several examples of
Now-
that come to mind. I can think about
Yeah.
right now, even like money.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing about money,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And so you want to invest some money. You got money, you want to invest in
Yeah.
something. So you go to someone who knows that you know more
Exactly.
than you do.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would give you wisdom, say,
Yeah.
I suggest that you put it over here.
Right.
You don't have understanding why. You
Right.
just know the wisdom is, I will listen to that
Right.
person.
Exactly.
Exactly. What I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's what I'm going to put my stuff in.
Right.
But if you go in and learn
Yeah.
what they know, the
Yeah.
wisdom that they had,
Exactly.
you'll get the understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is why they want me to do it this way,
Right.
because I understand that.
Exactly.
This is the better way to go.
Right.
Because the outcome
Yeah.
is better. So you have
Yeah.
understanding.
So I'd like to extend the example that you just gave, because stopping is wise. That's wisdom. And the understanding is that there's a system going on. There are cars coming, there are planes, there's street, there's a crosswalk light that changes and tell you when to go and when not to.
Right.
And the understanding is you operating in the system
Right.
in accord with what it is and not violating it. See, that's the thing that gets us, because we hear what God says,
Right.
but we don't operate it in it, and we violate it, and
Right.
then we get consequences
Yeah.
that are not commensurate with what we want.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times the thing that takes us away from that, and you'll hear it right here.
Right.
Don't look out for the jokers that are froward and evil. Get away from that woman that has honey on her lip,
Right.
because they're going to cause you to violate the system.
Right.
And all of that is because of what's in you.
Yeah.
So now what understanding really does is get control of what's in you and move it out of the way so you can operate within the system correctly. That's what understanding. And it's a powerful thing, because you can know it all you want.
Yeah.
And so when you smell that perfume or you see that handsome guy, you go running after it.
Yeah.
But you're not operating within the confines of the system. What you said earlier, God put
Yeah.
hymns and perimeters, he does it for the natural thing, he does it for us. But you have, this is wow, this is why you are the way you are. You have the capability to go cross it,
Yeah.
operate outside of it.
Right.
God might be merciful the first time, the second time, or the 200,000th time.
Yeah.
But 200,001, he allowed that thing to quit.
Well, he didn't get in some fire that.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
We go back and
Yeah.
rethink and
You just
recap
said,
and
boom,
reconsider
you're out of
that
here.
and say,
Yep.
"Yeah, I must not do
Yep.
that, 'cause it's
Yep.
not wisdom. It's not
Man.
wise for me to go that way." No,
That
It's
understanding.
like that
Yeah.
parent go, boy, stop mine.
Yeah.
Clap.
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yeah.
Understanding comes with correction. This is
Well,
what-
yeah,
know
it
you
does.
lying.
It does
Get
come.
some
Yeah,
understanding.
it can come that way
When
too.
someone starts beating
Yes,
your
sir.
butt and smack you upside your head,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you get the understanding
Yeah.
quicker
Yeah.
than you do if you just sit down and try to figure it out on your own.
Exactly.
Or
Oh,
think
yeah.
you know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But wisdom is, this is powerful to me, because
Yeah.
wisdom is listening. Wisdom is recognizing. For me, it would be wise for me to listen to people who know more than I do.
Mhm.
That's
Exactly.
anybody
Exactly.
who really already has information.
Right.
Who already been there, who can school you on
Who's
something.
been there, done
But
that.
you have to ask God, because
Right.
you can assume someone's wiser than you in an area,
Exactly.
and they could be deceiving you.
Right.
Like a professor in college.
Yep.
This way, you warn the kids about going to college and having a professor turn you against your religious upbringing.
Mhm.
Because now you're looking at a professor who got all them titles and degrees, and
Right.
he's standing there being sounding so sure and steadfast in his opinion, in his place, and you wind up selling out because he know more than you do.
Yeah.
So you think,
Yep.
and he lying to you.
Mhm.
So you have to be very.
Yeah.
That's why you got that. If anyone like wisdom, James 1:5, you better ask God.
Yeah.
You better ask God out where wisdom is because
Yeah.
you might be
Yeah.
listening to the wrong source of wisdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the wrong wisdom. It don't have to be a
Yeah.
godly wisdom. So you
You
Yeah.
better
find,
ask
you
God.
find out
Yeah.
soon enough, don't
You
you?
better hurry up and ask God what's wisdom.
Amen.
You know, it puts me in it kind of puts me in mind of our infamous Uncle Archie.
Oh yeah.
Uncle Archie, you know, by all means was basically the local drunk, you know, but he always had a certain wisdom about him. I never forget he told me that there's always three kind of people in the world. I don't know if I've told this before, you know, and he said there's always the dummy, the dumb person, the smart person, and the genius person. He said, let me break this down for you. First guy, he's walking down the street, he comes to a hole in the ground. I can jump that. So he thinks. He attempts to jump it, didn't make it. What he did is he sprained his ankle. 5 weeks later, he heals up, come right back to the same hole. So I can do this. He jumps over, breaks his leg this time. 6 weeks later, he comes back. I can do this. Jumps over, breaks his neck and dies. This is the guy, the dummy, who keeps making a mistake and makes the same mistake over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Guy number 2, he comes to the hole. He said, you know something, I can jump this. He jumps it, missed it by that much, sprains his ankle. He comes back about 5 weeks later. Don't think I'm going to try it away. He just turns and walks away, find another direction. Then there's this third guy. He knew about the other 2 guys. He walks into the hole and says, well, that looks kind of far. One guy died, the other one didn't make it. It's too hard for them. I'm pretty sure it's going to be too hard for me. He just walks around. Wisdom.
Yeah, and understanding. You got understanding.
understand.
You know,
So what happened?
and by reason what you said earlier, the word experience.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the definitions that are given for these words, you know, through the scholars and stuff like that, in wisdom you will hear wisdom and understanding. Let me read it to you. Means wisdom, knowledge, experience, intelligence, insight, judgment. It is always used in a positive sense. It is used to describe, listen to this, an entire range of human experience. Embroidering. Now, if you've ever noticed a piece of embroidered work, they're all kind of, they just flow into each other.
Right.
You can't even really see the separation because it's embroidered to make a complete picture.
Right.
And if any one piece or one thread is missing, the whole picture's messed
You
up.
can tell too.
Yeah, and you'll instantaneously go to that spot because it naturally attracts your attention. Now, metalworking, military strategy, prudence, and practical spirituality. God is all-powerful and all-knowing, therefore all wisdom has its source in him. He's the only one that can see the whole embroidery of wisdom because it's in him. Yeah. It's personified on. It does not have a separate existence. The figure of wisdom was never regarded as independent of God. It is only one of his attributes. In other words, wisdom is in God. It's part of who he is.
Right.
Not the whole of who he is, but it's part of who he is. The noun is not a woman, only feminine in gender. True wisdom leads to reverence for the Lord. Therefore, skeptics will never find this kind of wisdom. And he quotes James 3. And they will never know the true meaning of life. They can't because they're not sourcing what they know in God.
Right.
So they don't understand. But when you get to understanding in the definition given there, you didn't hear understanding in the definition of wisdom.
Right.
But listen to the definition of understanding. It's very interesting to me that wisdom is part of that definition. 83.
But, you know, in fact, what you just said, where you find you can't have understanding without having wisdom.
Right.
That's what it said last
Exactly.
week, yeah.
That's
Yeah, they both
exactly
go together.
the point. You cannot have understanding. Wisdom comes first. It's the building block. It's the fundamental thing. Isn't that what he just said? Wisdom is the principal thing.
That's what
Therefore,
it's
get it.
that they use.
Yes.
Just get it. Wisdom is listening to someone else.
Yeah.
Guy number 2.
Yeah. The meaning
He tried it. Failed.
is insight,
Right.
intelligence, prudence, understanding, discretion, reason, skillfulness. Well, you don't really need no skill to have wisdom.
No.
But getting understanding about the wisdom you got will give you skillfulness.
Yeah.
Wisdom, that's part of the definition. The word is used 42 times in the Hebrew Old Testament, especially denoting the concept of wisdom. Understanding is built on top of wisdom, is what we're talking about. It may be the act of wisdom. Yeah, understanding is the result of that. The faculty of wisdom, your ability to do. The object of wisdom. And I think it always is that. You can't have a right understanding and it not point back to wisdom.
Right.
Or the personification of wisdom. It is the result of wisdom. Yes. It's wisdom in its actual form. You can see it, you know. It's used of God or men. So you can have wisdom that's from men, but it won't work in God's application. In other words, to point you back to God. And that's it. He said there's a wisdom that is of this world, but it's fleshly, carnal, because it's always pointing back to you
To man. Yeah.
instead of to God.
Wisdom of this world.
The wisdom that you have is from God,
Yeah.
but because your understanding of it is wrong,
Right.
it points back to you as your ultimate source
Yeah.
instead of pointing back
And
to
that
God.
connotes pride.
Yes.
Each person can go back to
Yes.
themselves. And you ask them about something, they know the answer.
Yeah.
Right.
They can get puffed up with pride and never recognize that. I only know because God has given it to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give that
Yeah.
glory, that credit, the honor to who is due.
Right.
Due to God. But you think that you developed this all on your own. And so now you could be the one that got the award for
Yeah.
creating it or making it or doing it. And with no praise to God himself. Who
Yeah.
ultimately
Right.
behind all wisdom. The source of all wisdom. Source of
Yeah.
all understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and there's a question that you have to ask in order to gain wisdom and understanding. And the question to me is why.
Mhm.
When you ask why, you seek wisdom and understanding.
Excuse me.
Who, what, when, why, how, whatever.
Right.
Why. You get that why answer, you get some understanding.
Exactly.
Why you do something, how things work, whatever. Very interesting that God has given mankind all this wisdom and knowledge. And I wonder, sometimes in my own mind, when you're learning about something, it seems like that. Mom maybe help me with anybody. You'll maybe help me with this thought that I be having a lot because of technology.
Hello, Lord.
Where it has gone, how far we have gone with technological advancements. When you go to school or whatever you're going to school to learn how to do,
Yeah.
how far back do you go in the development of that thing? Like, this is where I'm coming from. When Thomas Edison, the light bulb, right?
Yeah.
Electricity, light, all that. Thought about the light being the light. Now that was a first step one. To developing what electricity was able to do. No, thank you, ma'am. Not right this minute. I will be back.
I didn't want to leave nobody out.
You're done fine. You're done fine.
Amen. Doing a fine job.
So when you go to school to learn about electronics, you don't go all the way back to Einstein to find out how it works.
No.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of things that's being developed now that I think the developers really don't know all what happened in the past to even get to where you are now. You start at a certain point
Right.
of what the last step was maybe, and you go from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking now about microwaves and the phone and all these other electronic advancements. There's no
Yeah.
way that people are being taught to go all the way back to the beginning of it to understand why it does what it do.
Right.
You understand? You start at a certain point of wisdom to understand it, but you don't go all the way back to the first beginning.
Right.
So you don't go back to the very beginning. The beginning gonna wind up with God.
Yeah.
See, the ultimate beginning gonna wind up with God. Only a believer can go way back to the ultimate very beginning and say, you know what? If it wasn't for God, none of this stuff would be working.
Right.
Right.
Now you're giving glory to whom is due and honor to his name. Because
Right.
he is the ultimate source of all wisdom giving wisdom and giving understanding. So I just been thinking, well, when you see all these advancements, technological advancements, a lot of folks who are probably in these crafts and in these fields of study and they learn how to do this stuff, they don't even know how it works.
Right.
Ultimately, how it works. Where it started.
Yeah.
You don't go way back to all that when you learn more electronic stuff like computer things.
Yeah,
You
we
don't go
did.
way back to the
Yeah.
theory of how it got started, who did it, why it works, and how it works.
Yeah.
You just know that it does work.
Well, when I came
So
through,
you
they
think
were
something-
teaching like that.
I'm sure there's no problem not doing that.
They're probably not doing it as much now, unless you go into engineering. They may take you back that far. But if you're going into things, computers and cybersecurity and those type of things, you don't need to know that. You really don't. Yeah, because where you're dealing with is an advancement in technology that's starting now,
Right.
and it's fulfilled in itself. And you don't really have to troubleshoot anything. But in order for me to troubleshoot a computer, I need to know how the electrons flow. And in order for you to troubleshoot a car, you need to know how the wires are connected. And even now, a lot of them aren't going all the way back because you've got a diagnostic system that you just plug it in, and it tells you where the problem is at, and you just replace a block.
Right.
You see, you don't get down to what they call discrete components, where you actually unsolder a piece of component and remove it and put a new one in its place, and boom, it goes. Where you can get to an air conditioning system and actually take out the starting capacitor for the motor. No, they just take the whole motor, everything else out, the control board and everything, and charge you $900.
You don't have ultimate understanding.
Right, you don't.
All wisdom, how it works.
Yeah,
Just going
you
like
really
that.
don't. You don't know how it works.
You don't need,
Right.
don't need to know. Or don't want to know. Take too much time.
Right.
Go back. Try to figure out and understand all of that.
Yeah, and the system you're working in is not congruent with that. It's not commensurate with that. They said, no, we ain't got time for all that. You just replace these two whole blocks, we're gonna charge them $700, as opposed to finding that little capacitor and pull it out and charge them $2.39. It's not commensurate with what their agenda is. The system, you see.
My question then becomes, does that make us complete or incomplete as far as the knowledge-wise? Because you look at, if you ever want to know, as far as, like you say, going back about why, chasing the whys, you know who are the greatest chasers of whys? Kids.
Yeah.
Kids. I don't care what you tell them. Don't do that. Why? Because of that. Why? Because why?
They want to know why.
That's all they want. Why?
Yeah, that doesn't satisfy.
It doesn't say why. You will have to get your whys with a child is going to have to take you way back.
You gotta
Yeah.
break
And
it all the way
this
down.
is why I understand, where the Word of God tells us we have to be in a childlike mentality and coming down. Because we come to Him as full adults and we think we know everything, we don't know nothing. And so it tends to linger in my mind. Like I say, does that make us incomplete?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're not complete in your
Because
understanding.
you really don't have that understanding.
Yeah.
You don't have the ultimate understanding.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good question. That is.
Because I guarantee you, if you want to look at this thing how God look at it, God is the source of all knowledge of anything.
Right.
He wants us to be like Him, so shouldn't we have all knowledge? I'm just guessing, at this point. I'm playing like Mama said, devil's advocate, But shouldn't we be? God wants us to be like Him, so shouldn't we be privy to that information? I mean, it ain't like He hiding anything from us. It's just our pursuit of it.
It seems to me as though we're not going to live long enough to get the answer to all why.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to take God ages to come to show forth all of these things He has done. To get some understanding when you're on the other side of this thing, and God started answering these questions.
You have to keep getting it.
So for all you say that, we're talking about, we see through a glass darkly,
Yeah.
those everything. But then we see Him face to face. The old song that says we'll understand it better by and
Bye.
by. Yeah, when the morning comes, we'll understand it better by and by. So we don't have perfect understanding. That's what the scripture says. We don't have perfect understanding.
Right.
But it's great to ask the why question. It is really an awesome
'Cause that's-
question.
yeah, 'cause
To
that's-
get the why to things. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thought. That's the question that when you say acknowledge Him in all your ways, that He may direct your path. You have to ask why. You have to ask why. When thoughts come to your mind, you need to ask why.
Why?
Where is this coming from? What's the
Right.
source of this?
Right.
Why am I believing this? Why am I going this way? Why do I want to do this thing? What's going on in me that makes me think I need this?
Right.
Is it God? Is it my flesh? You know, is it spiritual or is it detrimental to my spirit, man? You know, those questions are serious questions. If they don't, we will find ourselves in a snare and in a trap. Now you got to go do what we talk about doing, what the Word talk about doing, and meet with drug those who have been taken captive by Satan and his will because he lied to them about a question, and they should have had wisdom or and understanding. Say, no, I heard the voice.
Right.
They're speaking to me, even if it was my voice. I heard this thing, and now I need to ask why.
Why?
I need to ask why. Why? I ask myself why a lot because not because I'm smart, because I get in trouble all the time. You know, I was just more in trouble with y'all think I do. But no, yeah, with God in my way.
I was about to bring that up.
So I just say
No,
God.
I'm just saying, it's just the truth, y'all. It's just the truth. And I have to ask myself why. And I have to really go back and say, why? Because she asked me, why do you do certain things? Or why are you not doing other things?
Right.
That should be done. I mean, there's no question about it. I can say, yeah, you're right. I need to, should have done, need to do, should be doing,
Right.
whatever it is. And when I ask myself why, and I don't have an answer why, and I might get frustrated because I don't have an answer why. You know, and she said, that doesn't make sense. You should know why.
Right.
Are you stupid or something? Salted or something like that.
You're supposed to
You
know the
understand what
answer,
I'm
right?
saying? You're supposed to know why you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, or what needs to be done, and what's going on. And I go away. I'm not on my head on her to try to figure out the why and say, God, what's up? Why you didn't catch
What's up
me
with
yet?
this why?
You know, am I dull of hearing or something? Am I stubborn?
Yeah.
You know, stiff neck?
But maybe he got you just where you're supposed to be.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, that's me. That's just me. And I love to ask the question. Now I tell you all the time when it comes to doing stuff, God doesn't seem to be slacking answering me with wisdom and understanding when it comes to doing stuff. But other things, it seems like I'm having a challenge with just grabbing and doing what I know is right for what God
Right.
had me doing if I was walking fully and wholeheartedly after Him. And I see that there have been stumbling blocks in my way to try to divert me, my attention. And some of these stumbling blocks are good things. They appear to be good, like I was saying last night. They appear to be good things.
Right.
You can be doing a good thing and be doing a wrong thing. Because it's not time to do that good thing. You need to be doing something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're so caught up in what you like doing or what you are doing or people look doing, and you forget about the other things, it can be a burden. It can be a snare for you.
Yeah.
It can become a trap. It can become a problem for anybody. So it has to be able to grab those thoughts and then get with God and really want the will of God to be done in your life.
So it's like sometimes you got too many plugs and
Yeah.
you got too much, you got a plug here,
Yeah,
plug there, and it's like you overloaded. And you can't get around there.
I'm starting to, fall in the lines of what you're talking about now. Being newly married, basically. I just can't just say anything to my wife and think she's going to buy it.
Yeah.
She goes, and she tell me all the time. She said, "Well, sweetie, I'm doing a question, but why are we going this direction? One of the main things I find that I got to start doing my research before I even go to her. Because she'll be moving up here next year sometime. So we were talking about home buying. And the one thing I said, well, military, VA loan, that was it. She was like, and that's the only option we got. I like, is there any other? So I'm like, So now I started, doing a little research, and I found there are a lot more options out there, HELOC, home equity line of credit and stuff like that. We don't have to put no money down, and there's just a vast amount of dollars out there, So the more most people, the wise, the more I'm like, something. Before I even go to her, just let me go ahead now. I'm with paper and pencil, and I went to the computer, if I do this there, and then I got to bring a whole dossier, this is what I wanted to do. One of the game plans I'm looking at, what do you think? Those why questions, they do promote you to do your research.
That's a good nugget. Wow.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Make you think.
Get back to the thoughts and intent.
Yeah.
That's what it gets to, really.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts and intent.
Why
Yeah.
do what I
Whatever's
do?
going on, what
Right.
is really behind this?
That's
Right.
Who is really behind this?
Right.
What is behind this? Where is this going?
Mhm.
Those are protection questions.
Amen.
You ask, you move too fast.
Yep.
Or if you are, just in the wrong place. You got to get behind it. The brakes on it, you can get, it's what, important. Very important that we find ourselves in a bad place or a wrong place.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Mhm.
Very,
Mm.
very good. Very good. Very good. Thank you,
Mhm.
Jesus. So did we get any?
No.
Did we answer any of these verses?